Hello and welcome to another episode of The Living Philosophy. Today I just thought I'd explain why I'm not an enlightened being. So I've been reading a fantastic book by McKenna called Spiritual Enlightenment, The Damndest Thing. And I used to read a lot of spirituality when I was younger, and I went away for it for various reasons, but it's still, I really got quite deeply into it and saw how it connected with Heraclitus and Parmenides, and seen it warping in with all this kind of universal perennial philosophy appearing across the world in a sort of convergent evolution. So I was really fascinated by it, and I dove deep into spirituality, and at one point I wanted to be the youngest ever Buddha. That was my ambition in the world. But I kind of got over that. Or I realized that I wasn't. Anyway, here's why I'm not the Buddha or a Buddha now, and there's a couple of great quotes that actually encapsulate it, and they encapsulate the reason why I didn't quite go that way. There's one great quote on it from a guy called Sri Ramakrishna, and he says, "Do not seek enlightenment, do not seek illumination unless you seek it as a man whose head on fire seeks water." And I think that's such a well expressed sentiment there. And Anthony de Mello, my old favorite author, he has a great kind of more extended passage on this, and from his book Awareness. So I'll quote that in full here. I'll explain. It didn't make sense to me for many years until I suddenly discovered that people have to suffer enough in a relationship so that they get disillusioned with all relationships. Isn't that a terrible thing to think? They've got to suffer enough in a relationship before they wake up and say, "I'm sick of it. There must be a better way of living than depending on another human being." And what was I doing as a psychotherapist? People were coming to me with their relationship problems, with their communication problems, etc. And sometimes what I did was a help, but sometimes I'm sorry to say it wasn't, because it kept people asleep. Maybe they should have suffered a little more. Maybe they ought to touch rock bottom and say, "I'm sick of it all." It's only when you're sick of your sickness that you'll get out of it. Most people go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist to get relief. I repeat, to get relief, not to get out of it. And that's really just it. It's enlightenment requires you to be so sick of life, so sick of suffering that you need to get out. It's that thing of your head needs to be on fire and you're seeking water. It's not something that you kind of go, "That would be nice. That sounds really cool. Yeah, I like truth. I think I'd like to follow that." So I never had that urgency. I got so enamored of the idea from the books that I was reading and the things that I was reading, and I thought, "Oh wow, this is like a profound experience. I'd love to try that." And that's it. My head was not on fire, but it's good to know that it's there. It's good to know that if my head ever is so on fire that I need to find water, I kind of know that there's something to go. And if I ever get so sick of the game of life that, at least I'll know there's a way to continue to rise to another level where that's not quite as much of an issue. Whether I can cross that bridge or not is another thing, but it's good to have that in the back of my head. And I guess I just let go of that vision, because it's a matter of realism. I was looking at it, I was a young man, and still so enamored of even the idea of wanting to become enlightened was a sort of a conquest, was a sort of an ego desire, a grasping. And I think that's so common in spirituality, and I think that the spiritual authors don't do a lot to help that, because they feed it, they chuck stuff on the fire, they throw so much fuel on the fire to create a desire in you to become enlightened. And then the spiritual industry can sell you all these different things and all these different books and programs and visions to get you towards it. And it's quite disillusioning in many ways. And you hear people kind of speaking about this as on that path, and it's kind of like, I don't know. It does kind of make me cringe a bit. But I think that there's something important there. That for me, I know that there's a path. I know that there's a thing that's there. But I know that I don't actually want to go there. I don't want to become enlightened yet, anyway. And it seems like this bizarre thing to want, this overcoming of attachment, this withering away of the self and a communication with something higher, I guess. Well, I mean, again, you could bring in Jed McKenna's distinction here between mysticism and enlightenment. which I'll cover in another video. But I just wanted to, I guess, kind of cover that idea of why I'm not enlightened, in case any of you were wondering, well, why isn't this guy, why isn't he ascended to the next level? So that's everything that I wanted to share today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching.